Welcome back. Last time we fought through the catacombs and fought a ghost who was inexplicably named Kelly according to YouTube tagging. Today we go through and do a lot of nothing, beginning with the crafting system. Now the going into a workshop opens up some new options. We can assemble weapons, repair them, or combine. I'm gonna pop into repair briefly and then decide that it's a better option to show you what repair actually does before doing it. If you look at your weapons and armor, you have durability points and phantom points. Right now there's 11 points shy of full power on durability and some amount of phantom points. If you repair it, some phantom points get deducted and put towards DP. Now if you just go through the game without trying to micromanage it, usually by the time that you run out of DP or PP is full power and it's kind of a wash, but if you really want to maximize your damage, you keep them both high. As for combine, going through a shield, a bronze targe and a wooden pelta shield make a bronze quad shield, which is a pretty all-around upgrade with a little bit of sacrifice and intelligence defense from the pelta shield, but it's still worth it. But just to make sure all the bases are covered, going to make sure that combining the other shields don't make anything better. For the most part, components of the same material obviously they'll make the same material, and with a few exceptions, the material of two different types usually go towards the heavier material. As far as armor goes, you can combine any type of armor aside from the shield together. Again, like types make like, so gloves combined with gloves make a different type of glove. Low-level gloves, if you combine the same types together, bandage and bandage, you get more bandages. As you get better stuff, combining two identical types usually bumps you up a tier, but that's going to be a ways off. If you start adding together things like leggings to armor, you start getting stranger combinations that aren't necessarily consistent between types. While we're just doing this, we're limited to leather, wood, and bronze, so you can't go too crazy. And just trying to get nominal increases rather than trying to break the game over the knee. That can wait until the next shop or other shops down the road once you have better stuff. And despite the fact that I'm going to now have just one piece of bronze arm or gauntlets, I'm fine with that, and I'll just deal with an inferior leather piece on the other hand when I get to it. And as you can see, you can combine items that you've got equipped and just have to re-equip them when you're done. Can't do anything with iron yet, but that will soon change. As for blades, there's not really any good options right now. Again, roughly, if you combine two different types of weapons, you usually end up with one or the other, unless you go with, say for example, a spear and something else. You may end up with a broadsword or a dagger or a crossbow or anything else, but usually if you do a one-handed weapon to a one-handed weapon or a two-handed weapon to a two-handed weapon, you usually get one or the other. Again, with not too many consistencies. A bow and a greatsword make a horrible, horrible knife. And there's really no good options right now, at least without giving up my rapier, which I want a pointed object to stab into people's eyes. That won't stop me from obsessively looking at each combination before I just give up in despair. And just because I haven't excluded everything possible, I'm just going to look again and just stop that now. Now you can attach gems anywhere like you've seen before, but now that I'm still towards the limit, so I'm going to disassemble some weapons to see if I can make something better. Now I'm looking at this thinking, do I want to combine that rapier and get something with a gem? And I decide against it and decide instead to disassemble my scimitar, which I apparently cut a little bit out of that, and I want that to have the Heralis gem. It's not like I'm planning ahead or anything, of course. I mean, I just, despite only fighting 4 humans, well, 6 humans including the prologue, obviously I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm just going to be fighting zombies and things, so that's just random quirks on my part. Back to my undead doom weapon. And when I finish with this, I will meet you back at the wine cellar. We're back at the wine cellar, and just, even though I showed this before, I just want to show that it isn't just something that comes to your benefit. You do need to pay attention to enemy placements when you're attacking them. In this case, this wolf just dies. The second wolf is going to snake around to the other side of that scaffolding, and despite the fact that it shows 100% accuracy, you're not getting through a whole bunch of wood and stone. I'm going to now meet you back at the dummy, where we're going to spend, well, I'm going to spend about 2 hours trying to do something in vain, and you're going to see about 15 minutes of it. There's not too much to say about this. Again, just I chose a spear because that's going to kind of give a vague metronome type feel at the moment. And there's a little bit more wind up on one side as the other. Basically everything below 14 or 15 chain is going to be consistent and rhythmic. I've got notes for a sword. Now there's about a 2-second count on one swing, and then about a 1.3 second count on the other swing, and that's roughly consistent for the first 14. Once you get up to 15, that kind of goes out the window. And then it starts getting random, so you can't just get muscle memory going in your favor. The other benefit of doing this is, with the magic point damage, is I get a little bit more opportunity to attack the dummy. It has 999 hit points, and even though you may leave the room and come back, it its hit points do not reset. So a little bit of handicapping there to squeeze out a little bit more time here. And I'm just trying to switch camera angles, positions, zoom in, zoom out, anything to try and see if I can isolate the exclamation point a little bit better or get the timing down. Some are better than others. And there's only one thing that I can think of that will spare you from 2 hours of torment like I... The day is approaching to give it your best. You've got to reach your prime. That's when you need to put yourself to the test and show us a passage of time. We're gonna need a montage, a sports training montage. And just to show you what they've done it once, remind everyone what's going on. And every shot show a little improvement to show it won't take too long. That's called a montage. Even Rocky had a montage. In any sport, if you want to go from just a beginner to a pro, you'll need a montage. A simple little montage. Always fade out into a montage. If you fade out, it seems like a long time has passed in a montage. If I haven't scared you off after that, well, now you just see some different options trying to go a little bit faster. There are faster options than swords and maces, but they're for reasons you'll see it sooner or later not good. Now, as I said, these things can die if you screw up enough. Usually I'd say about 15 decent-sized chains. You're just going to go away and drop some goodies. The Elixir of Queens is not a guaranteed drop. The other stuff is. Dun, 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 dun. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rivals. In the last known survivor struck his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. Now I'm done with that. It might try it one more time, but now the mission has been accomplished. I'll show this game. Again, one of the things it's done before its time is it has achievements. One of those is do 30 chain attacks in a row. Some of the other options are kind of obvious from what you see from here. Beat the game. It keeps track of map completion and treasure completion, so you'll probably get achievements for 100%ing those. Weapon usage, which also is going to be an achievement which you're going to complete under the basis of some other things. Time travel you're not going to see for a while, and a bestiary, which it doesn't really give any stats, just gives just a general description of the enemy. can pan around, look at it, and extreme zoom in and out, because you can. Some nice detail on it for just general mooks. You may also notice that a lot of things make mention of the dark, which I tried to pronounce the uppercase D. And this bastard. An interesting thing, before Final Fantasy XII, they had the weird circling thing around some guy's neck, like they do with the dragons. Bestiary includes bosses, but not generic humans. Or human bosses, or anything of that sort, just the otherworldly creatures. So that was the main goal that I hope to accomplish here. That being said, there is something else to mention. You probably won't notice this under normal circumstances, but as you can see, I've come into this room with low hit points, and there's only the one zombie there, or ghoul, whichever. There's only one of them. If you come back with more hit points, there's a friend. Now, depending on its mood, you usually end up with weaker enemies with lower hit points, and more enemies when you're at full. There are exceptions to this, and they are very important exceptions. But they're far off. And I've got a nice upgrade to my body armor. Very pleased with that, since I'm right now, despite I'm just having to choose for leather stuff, and it's not too bad of a hit to magic defense, so I'm definitely getting in with that. And because I'm a glutton for punishment, I'm going to go and kill Kelly again. If I was a real glutton for punishment, I'm, just stomach distended with punishment, internal bleeding with punishment, I could farm that jerk for that spell book. But, and it's, as you can see, for varying levels of success, magic is not that good of an option at the time, so maybe when I actually can make use of it, I'll farm. But even then, there's better enemies to farm against. But that being said, I'm still enough of a glutton for punishment not to just turn right back around and leave. Also of note, the room after having a big enough earthquake to knock off some rust off the door, also had enough to cause a massive sinkhole. Also of note, when it gets to that point, while you can be affected by having your head thrown into the red zone, that doesn't necessarily mean that enemies have that same courtesy. Ghosts apparently have their magic assigned to something other than their head. So, even though I've been wailing on his head quite a bit, when he comes back, he's going to be able to throw a magic spell back at me just cement his place on my shit list. And it's pissing me off so much that I'm not even really paying attention to the fact that my risk is climbing. And it's not like it matters anyway. He's almost impossible to hit even with 0 risk. Really hate these guys. But it is satisfying to get a nice critical hit against him. Can't do anything with that guy over there. Not yet, at least. And by the time I can get back in that room, I'm not going to, because I don't want to deal with the ghost again. Second to last thing I want to leave you with, despite my disgust with this, I will show it off. If you have puzzle mode on, you have to resolve your puzzles with a pointless counter. You saw me do it once. You're gonna see me do it one more time because, well, you might as well just show off that this accomplishes nothing. And when you reach the door, you get a timer, you get a little arbitrary title that accomplishes nothing, and it just tells you that I've done good, and all I do is get a warm, gooey feeling. And while I did show off some of these break arts, I accumulated other ones while I was doing the training montage. Now, despite this being called Mistral Edge, it is a blunt type attack. Now, despite some of these attacks having like magical or elemental type sounding names, with the exception of Brimstone Hail, everything else is at the moment just an attack, a weapon type attack. Brimstone Hail, fire and brimstone, so fire and darkness. Most other things are either blunt or piercing at this point. With all the mechanics talk that we've gotten done today, I will see you next time back at the workshop to proceed with the plot.